As families across Taiwan celebrate Mid-Autumn Festival, thousands of volunteers have flocked to Hualien to help rebuild a flood-hit township.
我们有我们的罚单案最高荣耀的答谢，来自四面八方的志工以及团队。
Japan's Iron Lady, Takaichi Sanae, is on track to become its next prime minister, and attention is turning to her foreign policy and stance on Taiwan. With the Kuomintang chair election looming, contenders are vying to revive Taiwan's main opposition party.
我们不只要团结国民党，我们要团结整个在野力量，乃至团结整个台湾的主流民意。
Plus, a fresh twist on traditional mooncakes is brewing as a tea farm outside Taipei infuses local flavor into the classic treat. Welcome to TaiwanPlus News. I'm Yvonne Yang. During the Mid-Autumn Festival long weekend, when families and friends normally celebrate together, thousands of volunteers have instead converged in eastern Taiwan to help out a flood-stricken township. Some unfinished tasks include clearing the drainage system and strengthening flood defenses. Iron Ling reports.
Voicing their gratitude through this traditional song, the Fataian indigenous people of Guangfu Township in Hualien are singing to the over 25,000 volunteers who spent their Mid-Autumn Festival long weekend helping them restore their homes to the way they were, before devastating flash floods swept over the town last month.
他们无私的来去帮我们去做抢修救灾的动作。我们用我们的罚单案最高荣耀的答谢，来自四面八方的志工以及团队。
The main task on this holiday was clearing the gutters, vital to drain off the muddy water from hosing down houses and streets, and to prevent flooding from another potential dam breach or typhoon downpour.
因为南岸都是地势是低的，所以水一定要往这走，一定往南走。所以在这里的疏浚里面，我们要怎么样让水路能够稍微导水导到稍微北岸一点？ 让我们现在开始清沟清泥，但是这一些都只是血管而已。但是重要的排水要排出去，还没有办法排出去。虽然我们路面干净了。
Residents on one of the outlying streets shouted their grievances at President Lai Ching-te when he came to check on cleanup progress. This is the second time Lai visited Guangfu to oversee recovery operations. He had previously ordered that most of the town be brought back to normal before this holiday weekend. Besides thanking the volunteers who spent their holiday helping the town, Lai also emphasized that there will be financial compensation for the flood victims, while officials keep working on flood prevention and finding ways to deal with the high-risk barrier lake that caused the flash floods in the first place.
后续到底要怎么样来解决，根本解决堰塞湖？那这个要专家学者跟水利工程单位。 大家来研究，但是呢，在堰塞湖还没有解决之前，并不是没有事情要做。堤防、深水槽，还有监控水流、河床河面的水流。另外一个就是撤离计划。
But the township head also raised concerns about the locals' livelihood and the local economy.
目前光复乡是没有商业行为，目前便当店也没有，超市也没有，超商也没有，很多的商家。 他们这一次灾后之后就不想营业了，变成以后光复乡真会萧条了。我想对光复乡产业，不管农业产业也好，商业也好，可以尽快来辅导。
While the center of the town is cleared, outlying communities that bore the brunt of the floods are still waiting for help to clear their buried farmland and homes, and hoping to celebrate having their lives back on track before the next holiday season. Fu Huahong and Iron Ling for TaiwanPlus.
Takaichi Sanae is likely to become Japan's first female prime minister next week after winning the leadership of the ruling Liberal Democratic Party. Analysts are already looking at how her foreign policy could change the dynamics in the region. John Van Trieste reports.
Takaichi Sanae, Japan's self-declared Iron Lady, is on the way to the political top. Japan's ruling Liberal Democratic Party declared her its next leader on Saturday. And that means on October 15th, she will likely become the first woman to serve as Japan's prime minister. She's well known for conservative viewpoints when it comes to domestic policy, but analysts are also looking at how her foreign policy might shape up, especially as, in her own words, Japan's security situation has grown more complex in recent years, with Russia, North Korea, and China all ramping up military activity nearby. This raises the question, what will be her relationship with the United States in the second Trump era? The U.S. plays a big role in Japan's security, but Japan is among the many countries that have friction with the U.S. over Trump's tariff policies. Here's what Takaichi says.
If, in practice, something was to arise that goes against Japan's national interest, I believe we should clearly state that within the framework of the Japan-U.S. talks. At the moment, we do not plan to overturn what has been agreed with the U.S.
But it's hard to know if a shared right-wing outlook between Takaichi and Trump will keep ties even-keeled.
Obviously, they share quite a nationalistic agenda. They've both said things that are pretty hostile towards the foreign residents and population of their respective countries. They're both people who've been on record questioning the right of the media to hold politicians accountable and to scrutinize political leaders. So that seems like something things that they have in common. But on the other hand, she's talking about wanting to revisit the deal that was done over tariffs to reduce the amount that Japan has promised to invest in the United States. And she's also a woman over the age of 40, which is not a demographic that Donald Trump tends to do very well with.
And how will she manage ties with her neighbors, especially China and the two Koreas, countries that still feel bitterness over past Japanese occupation? Will her strident nationalism create strain in the region?
Her visits, for example, to the controversial Yasukuni Shrine, which is the war memorial in Japan where a number of war criminals are also interred. This is going to make relations with China, South Korea, other countries that are occupied by Japan, more difficult.
But Takaichi sees things differently.
Yasukuni Shrine is the main facility for honoring the spirits of soldiers dead in war, and a shrine dedicated to peace. As for how we honor the deceased and how we pray for peace, these are matters we will judge appropriately at the right time. This is absolutely not something that should be turned into a diplomatic issue.
Then there's the issue of China's threat to invade Taiwan. Takaichi's mentor, the late Prime Minister Abe Shinzo, was a notable supporter of Taiwan, once saying, "A threat to Taiwan is a threat to Japan." On this front, she's made her stance explicit, telling the Hudson Institute she wants dialogue with Chinese leaders, that Taiwan's status quo shouldn't be changed through force, and that issues of Taiwan need to be resolved peacefully through dialogue. How big an impact Takaichi's policies will have depends much on how long she stays in office. Her role model, Britain's Margaret Thatcher, was prime minister for over a decade. But with the exception of Abe Shinzo, Japanese prime ministers have tended to come and go in recent years, in what's sometimes called a revolving door. Even before she's confirmed prime minister, though, think tanks and analysts are still grappling with what effect she might have on Japan and its place in the world. Alex Chen and John Van Trieste for TaiwanPlus.
And to learn more about how Takaichi could reshape Japan's relations with Taiwan and the wider region, our reporter Larry Isiano spoke with Ian Rowan, an associate professor at Kyushu University.
Assuming Takaichi Sanae does become the next prime minister, would she prioritize defense, the economy, or societal problems that Japan is facing?
I think Takaichi's first priority is going to be shoring up her own position in the party, in parliament, and making sure that her coalition can stay together. She's spoken about fiscal stimulus. She's spoken about increasing Japan's presence in the world, increasing its military partnerships. She's also very known for having a socially conservative stance. But how she prioritizes this and what order she pursues this agenda remains to be seen. And how ambitious she can be is going to depend on how much she can shore up her own position in the party, in parliament, and nationally.
What do you think her victory means for Japan's ties with Taiwan?
She has met with Taiwan's leaders. She has visited Taiwan. She has hosted Taiwanese foreign minister within Japan. She's talked about a quasi-security alliance between Japan, Taiwan, India, and Australia. This perhaps has an increased impetus as the U.S. seems more and more like an unreliable partner under the current U.S. administration. So she may look set to pursue this. However, as Japan also recalibrates its relationship with China, and as the U.S. does so as well, the scope with which she can pursue that kind of agreement remains to be seen.
What about Japan's ties with other neighbors like China and South Korea, and obviously with the U.S.?
She's known for taking a more hawkish stance on China. She's known for wanting to build up Japan's military, to revise its constitution, like her predecessor and mentor in a way, former Prime Minister Abe. She's also spoken about a need to deepen security relationships with South Korea, in addition to Taiwan. That said, again, Japan and China's economic and trade ties are extremely important to both countries. And so, again, how she pursues this kind of security arrangement will remain to be seen. It's also possible that her hawkish stances on China have been calibrated to raise her profile in the party and nationally. So again, the distinction between what she says on campaign trails and in her past service as a minister and how she'll actually pursue things as prime minister is a question mark for all of Japan and for Taiwan as well.
That was Ian Rowan, Associate Professor from Kyushu University. Australia and Papua New Guinea have signed a defense treaty, the first such agreement between the two countries in over 70 years. Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese called the treaty a historic agreement between the two sides. The deal allows up to 10,000 Papua New Guineans to serve in Australia's military with the potential to become citizens. Australia has signed similar agreements with other Pacific Island nations. Some analysts say the treaty is part of Australia's attempts to counter China's growing influence in the region. But Papua New Guinean Prime Minister James Marape said it has nothing to do with geopolitics and both countries will maintain their relationships with China. U.S. President Donald Trump said the United States will consider striking at drug trafficking targets on land in Venezuela. Trump's comment comes after another U.S. naval strike killed 4 people on an alleged smuggling boat off Venezuela's waters on Friday. Since early September, the Trump administration has been attacking Venezuelan ships it says are connected to cartels, which the administration has designated as terrorist organizations. Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro responded, saying his country would defend itself while also asking the Pope to intervene. President Trump says talks with Hamas to end Israel's war in Gaza are making fast progress. The talks include the release of Israeli hostages Hamas still holds. Posting on social media, Trump said negotiation teams will meet in Egypt on Monday to hammer out the final details. He says he expects the first phase to be completed this week. Coming up after the break, Taiwan is pouring resources into its drone industry, from education and research to full-scale production amid rising threats from across the strait.
Celebrate Taiwan's National Day with us. Enjoy live coverage of the celebrations, from vibrant cultural performances and expert commentary
to the world,
to the presidential address with real-time English translation. Join the TaiwanPlus hosts for the 114th National Day of the Republic of China, coming Friday, October 10th, 9 a.m., only on TaiwanPlus.
From a small studio in Taiwan to a global community for undaunted voices.
I'm just very grateful that they are able to spend time being part of Taiwan Talks and also being here with us today.
It's so refreshing that from a different country, from Taiwan, we are actually getting to see a show without noise, without yelling, and it's just complete facts and expert opinion.
Every single episode is about a Taiwan perspective.
Taiwanese speaking something from our heart.
Bringing forward all these different perspectives and voices to engage the world more seriously and continuously.
So the world will know that we are part of this globalized world.
British warship transited the international waters.
We're facing
without compromising our national
security. A lot of potential for these countries.
How important do you think that is?
The rule of law-based order.
It's been 3 years of almost every waking hour devoted to the show. Today, we have something, and that something is precious.
For more stories from Taiwan and Osaka, download the TaiwanPlus app.
Welcome back. You're watching TaiwanPlus News. In just 2 weeks, Taiwan's main opposition party, the Kuomintang, will elect its next leader. At a televised policy briefing, candidates try to convince party members that they can bring positive changes to the struggling party. Tiffany Wang reports.
Contenders for leadership of the Kuomintang are putting forward their visions for the opposition party, with many of them considering how to unify the party, which has been struggling since losing 3 presidential elections in a row. Former lawmaker Zheng Liwen, who was previously a member of the ruling Democratic Progressive Party, said that she was open to working with the smaller opposition Taiwan People's Party in order to ramp up public support.
我们不只要团结国民党，我们要团结整个在野力量，乃至团结整个台湾的主流民意。所以明年是否能够因此而顺利的赢得地方的大选，奠定蓝白合高度的互信的基础，跟变成是必赢的双城市，在这样的基础之上，相信2028的推动就会顺畅很多。
With winning the next presidential election at the top of the party's goals, some candidates are already strategizing how the party chair and presidential nominee can work together. Sun Yat-sen School President Zhang Yazhong, who has run several times for the KMT's top position and presidential nomination, said both positions need to work together.
我在上一次4年前参加党主席选举的时候就做过庄严的承诺，就是我认为选举党主席跟总统候选人兵权必须一致，才会避免双头马车的现象。所以我做出一个承诺，如果我是党主席，我会把党主席所有的兵权交给总统候选人，由他统一指挥。
These televised appearances will continue ahead of the party's October 18th chair election. But notably absent from Sunday's policy briefings were 2 of the frontrunners, former Taipei Mayor Hualien and KMT Caucus Secretary General Luo Zhiqiang. Both of them spent the weekend in Hualien in eastern Taiwan, where flood recovery efforts after a recent typhoon are still underway. Their absence comes after over a dozen KMT lawmakers criticized the planned total 14 televised debates and policy briefings happening every few days before the chair election. The lawmakers urged candidates to show more concern for the devastation in Hualien's Guangfu Township, where 18 people died. One of the debates, scheduled for Saturday, was canceled. Despite party lawmakers' criticisms, the debates are drawing in hundreds of thousands of viewers nationally and gaining attention abroad. A former CIA analyst warned that the candidates' pro-dialogue approach to China and skeptical views of U.S. ties could be seen by Washington as the party not taking the threat of a Chinese invasion seriously, something the candidates may try to clarify in future policy briefings. With just 2 weeks before Election Day, candidates will be trying to put their best foot forward on the debate stage and on the ground to win over party members and the hearts of the public. Patrick Chen and Tiffany Wang for TaiwanPlus.
Chinese vessels appear to be masking their identity with spoofed ID signals to test Taiwan's defenses. U.S.-based military think tank Institute for the Study of War reports that throughout August and September, several Chinese fishing boats operating in Taiwan's exclusive economic zone sent fake automatic identification system signals, with one posing as a Russian warship and another as a Chinese Coast Guard vessel. China uses its maritime militia, civilian fishing boats that can be mobilized for surveillance or harassment, as part of its gray zone tactics to wear down Taiwan's defenses. Drones are increasingly becoming a part of daily life. But in Taiwan, they're not just tools to help with day-to-day tasks. They're also a key piece of the country's defense strategy. As Leslie Liao reports, the country is betting big on the technology, integrating R&D, education, and production in hopes of becoming a drone leader.
From agriculture to photography to animal conservation, drones are an emerging technology that Taiwan has quickly adopted.
我大学是读屏科大农园生产系，拄好大学的时阵，无人机这种物件伫台湾拄好开始， 所以讲，阮农机课顶管就有想到无人机喷药啊。
The country is moving quickly to build its own domestic drone industry, encompassing everything from education, R&D, and production. In recent years, drones have taken the spotlight in the defense industry. They've emerged as a vital tool in Ukraine's fight against Russia, and their effectiveness has caught Taiwan's attention. Taiwan faces its own invasion threats from neighboring China. Beijing claims Taiwan as part of its territory and has not ruled out taking the island nation by force. Facing this threat, Taiwan has taken a page out of Ukraine's playbook, adopting drone tech as a key part of its defense strategy. But that strategy right now depends on one crucial factor: talent. How will Taiwan harness the power of drones if there's no one to build or develop them? That's where the country's schools are stepping in. At National Formosa University in western Taiwan, the Aeronautical Engineering Department is housing a budding drone program. Students here are given hands-on experience before they go out into the job market.
大学会去选修无人机，是因为之前就有摸过类似的飞机。 然后也有兴趣这样，所以才去选修这堂课。毕业后就觉得东西好像还不够这样子，所以才决定来虎尾这边读，继续深造这样。
About 50 kilometers away in Jiayi is the Asia UAV AI Innovation Application R&D Center, a government initiative to help accelerate industry growth. Over 50 private companies, schools, and research institutes have set up shop at the center. For some, it's a more ideal place for developing drones.
其实阮一开始是伫台南遐的一个小办公室遐其实是无啥方便，因为遐无一个足大的空地，会使讲，阮会使把阮的飞机就伫遐起飞。
On the front lines of Taiwan's drone trade are manufacturers and sellers. Many of them create custom, specialized UAVs on a smaller scale. They say fully commercializing Taiwan's drone market still depends on demand.
需求数量不够的话，就会导致说我们在找寻这个非红供应链的厂商的时候，甚至就是有些是你拿钱人家都不愿意帮你做，即使人家愿意帮你做，就是各个零组件拿到的一个成本，那个成本上面来说都会相对。
Taiwan is betting big on drones. The technology has proven practical in everyday life, but it could also be a lifeline for the country as it faces an existential threat from across the strait. Where Taiwan goes from here in fulfilling its drone ambitions is now up to those making, buying, and operating them. Eason Sun and Leslie Liao for TaiwanPlus.
Pastries filled with salty egg yolks are a traditional favorite during the Mid-Autumn Festival. But a new twist born out of the struggles of the COVID era is helping a family-run tea farm outside of Taipei add a local flavor to the classic treat. John Van Triest has the story.
It's just around 12 kilometers from Taipei's city limits, but sleepy Pinglin is a world from the urban rush. This is tea country, with a perfect climate for tea bushes to produce 5 crops a year. 4 generations of the Fong family have made their livelihood harvesting and processing tea here, and they also run a local restaurant. For the latest generation, it was a quiet rural life until COVID-19. The pandemic shuttered the restaurant and left its livelihood uncertain. Then, Feng Chongyu remembered the little pastries his mother used to make for customers who came to buy tea, and an idea sparked in his head.
因为妈妈她之前做蛋黄酥做了20年了，然后都是只送客人，但是不卖，因为她本来就有在卖茶叶嘛，所以送买茶的客人。那所以我们就想说就干脆把蛋黄酥做来卖。结果发现那一年蛮受欢迎的，那就开启了我们这好像可以创业的这个契机这样子。
But this wasn't his mother's recipe, not exactly. To give the cakes a personal and a local touch, Fong put finely ground tea leaves into them. This took away some of the excess sweetness that some people don't like in egg yolk pastries, and added in the subtle flavors of his family's teas. Plus, it was a good way to sell more tea leaves beyond tea connoisseurs. He and his wife drove around Taipei, making deliveries to people working from home. And sometimes the money was really good. But the fledgling business soon ran into a problem. Pastries like these are seasonal treats in Taiwan. They're associated with big holidays like the Mid-Autumn Festival and the Lunar New Year, times when many people gift each other whole boxes of pastry. Plus, most customers were friends or friends of friends. Word of mouth only spread so far. Feng's wife became concerned at the state of the accounting books, but she had an idea.
那段时间曾经在小月的时候，就会觉得哦，怎么收入跟大月差那么多啊？然后呢，就会觉得是不是要做一些就是转换方向，或者是再去找别的方式这样子。后来我们就讨论说，也许可以去摆个摊。
That idea has paid off. The vending stall is reaching more and more people, helping the tea side of the family business carry on too, with the elegant flavors of the hills just outside Taipei reaching a broader audience. Scott Huang and John Van Trieste for TaiwanPlus.
Thank you for watching TaiwanPlus News. You can visit the TaiwanPlus website or follow our social media for more stories from Taiwan and around the world. Finally, we take you to Canada for a performance by the Nibun Choir, an award-winning indigenous singing group from southern Taiwan. I'm Yvonne Yang. Take care, and I'll see you next time.